we'll dive right into the topic of the role of vocational education and training, dual and otherwise, for workers in the informal economy. And let me say a few words why this topic is so important, not just to me, but to all of us here, of course. According to the ILO, 60% of the world's employed population are informally employed. That's 2 billion people. So the topic is statistically relevant as well. So what do all these informal workers have in common? The first one is that their employment is not recognized and it's at risk. And informal workers in general don't have access to sufficient occupational health and safety, to social protection, to rights at work, including the right to organize, and to decent working conditions in general. Many informal workers also don't have access to vocational education and training, to formal vocational education and training, I should say, because a lot of training, of course, takes place in the informal sector, in the informal economy as a whole. And there we have the whole issue of recognizing prior learning, recognizing current competence, whatever you'd like to call it. And I'm sure we'll address that in our discussion later on. But having skills is, of course, important for workers in the informal economy, as for all workers. On the individual level, improving skills means that informal workers have more opportunities for better work, maybe even formal employment, to be paid better, and yeah, to be more informed about their rights and social security and health and safety and so on as well. But improving the skills level of informal workers is also beneficial for the companies, because a better skilled workforce generally means more productivity, more competitiveness, as well as more potential for innovation. And of course, for companies, this generally means more profit. Investment in skills also supports the development of resilience, which means that workers are more able to adapt to changes, and labor markets are changing even in the informal economy due to globalization, due to the green transition, and of course due to technological and demographic changes. So what are we doing at GIZ when we work on the informal economy? Of course, we as GIZ work mostly with government partners because that's the setup of our institution. Nonetheless, whenever a government in a partner country is invested in the informal economy and has it on its agenda, then of course we also have the mandate to work there. And the major topics, I should say, we're working on there are improving working conditions in the informal economy on the way to decent work. This can mean contributing to formalizing enterprises, but it could also mean just improving working conditions, looking at occupational health and safety, rights to organize, and so on. And improving skills is, of course, a large part of this. We consider the working poor as a very important target group, especially looking at the context of decent work, because, of course, as you all know, the working poor are employed, are working, but they don't earn enough to raise a living for themselves and their families. And we also work on supporting the right to organize and social dialogue as a whole, and including social dialogue and self-representation in the informal economy, in the informal sector.